Hello again, another Talking Trips. We're going to look back at the Mucho Macho Man Stakes from this weekend, January 7th at Gulfstream Park. This is kind of a follow-up to one of the earlier videos on the channel talking about value. And the opinion in that race is we are looking at the number 11, who was the morning line favorite. Let me highlight that horse here. The number 11 at 7-2 on the morning line, and how this horse was vulnerable as a morning line favorite if, and again, we did say if the public did decide to make this horse the favorite, which they did not. This horse went off at 6-1. Still, the opinion on this race and the title of the video, Finding Value, turned out to be some good value in the race, as they made the number 6 the favorite. And we'll talk about some trips and how this horse might have a better than looked effort next time out, and just kind of go over some of the horses in this race and what we can do with that information next time out. So I'm going to pull open the grid, and I have this sorted. I have two grids. We'll look over at the winner in a second. This is pulled up. This is kind of like a results, right? So we've got it sorted, and you can do that by clicking on the finish. You're using optics, and this will sort it out. So first through, do that again. There we go. First through 11th, and you can see in here order of finish, the speed figures. We do have a flag, and then also pending verification. This will all go through, and grade. And then the optics note here, keywords, projections, and extended comment if necessary. Again, you have your running lines, etc. So let's start with that horse, the number 11, Hemsworth. And so this horse was 7-2 on the morning line, bet to 6-1. You have the odds here that the horse went off at. And this horse was given an EX. So an EX, again, you just draw a line through the race. The horse just, for whatever reason, there's varying on the EX. And that's why we use our keywords here in extended comment to give a reason to draw a line through this horse's performance. So keywords, tactic, wide, no push. And this horse was kept wide on the track, well in hand. The jock never tried and did very little to overcome the outside post. Really just gave this horse no chance, and never even got into the race. I mean, I doubt this would even be a breezing effort if it was a workout in the morning. So, complete line through race. So when we look at this horse going forward, you can excuse the fact that this horse is 11 beaten 100 plus lengths. So we'll start back at the winner of the race, and we'll kind of look at some troubled trips in there. The winner of the race was the number 8, Sonic Mule, speed figure in 94, pending verification, of course. B+, tactic plus, so good ride, grit, showed grit. This horse had to fight in the stretch. And then these are the two keywords that we're going to kind of signal off of, because these are kind of the most important going forward. Extended comment here. Well positioned, took over the lead, very game to hold off challenger in the stretch, had to work very hard for this win. Suggests that there might be some distant limitations. So this hard effort is really important when the horse is coming back into their next race, because this signals that the horse is going to need some recovery time after this performance. The Gallop Minus, and a lot of times with Todd Pletcher horse, I've noticed at Gulfstream, because this is now my third year doing full trip notes at Gulfstream, every horse, every race, watch these races over and over again. A lot of times he'll have the jockey, and I figured this out, that this is by design, is that they ease him off after the race, and this is typical if they're 3-year-olds or stake horses, trying to conserve something for the next time out. This horse was different. This horse, they did not have to pull this horse up after the race. He was shutting down. This horse laid it all out. It was a very gritty effort. I don't think it was a bad effort by any means. B+, did more than he had to do. showed a lot of grit. He held off this horse that was also very game to finish second. You can see they are in the same speed figure. Very game effort, second place finisher. Just had to really, really, really work for that effort. And so I'll click over to this horse's running lines. What's important about a horse like this is we have a 3-year-old horse that's on the improve that just won a stake race. So you're thinking the next step is going to be into going to graded stake races. So I looked at the calendar. The next couple races, assuming they don't ship out of town, we'll just talk Gulfstream specifically, come on February 4th. And there's 2 stake races for 3-year-olds, and that's the Swale at 7 furlongs, which is probably the best fit for this horse, or the Holy Pole at 8.5 at 1 1/16. So both those races are exactly a month away from this January 7th race. So given the 30 days, I can't be certain that this horse is going to be recovered enough to run this same race, which speed figure perspective was his career best, to be able to come back and run that again off a 30-day break. So that's just something I'm going to kind of note, and again, we have all these notes in there, so when you are handicapping, if you forget or you're a new optics user, all that's going to be in there, but that's the thinking with this, and when you see a hard note, is you want to see how much time between races. Now, if this horse is, given 45 days, training great, all workout reports are all systems go, it'd be more likely for me to see this horse kind of running the same performance. But if he comes back in 30 days, let's take that into consideration with the handicapping. All right, a couple other horses we're going to look at. One had more obvious trouble, but we'll look first at the horse that was the betting favorite for this race. And this horse, kind of talked about it a little bit in the Finding Value video, was a B+ loan, and noted in there that even though this was a lone trip, he showed gears and should be able to move up the class ranks. So out of this race, it was graded a B-. I'm going to jump back real quick and kind of show that. So with the grades, it doesn't necessarily fall in order that, B, you see this B- kind of sitting in between the C+, and it is subjective, it is a trip note taker, but I feel like there was more going on in this trip than just saying he is the same as the 2, the 7. There was enough going on here to think that this horse ran a better race than these 2 horses, even though they finished in front of him. Speed figure wise, really not that far off. So let's go back and look at that horse's running lines. But that's just kind of giving you a little bit of backup on why the grade sometimes doesn't match with the finishing position. But for most, past performances, I can even kind of sort this, that won't have the trip grade, no projections, that are going to look something like this. This isn't necessarily going to look like a B- effort, just kind of on a standard form. And keeping in mind that's kind of what people are looking at, right? So this is important. And the note here, scrolling over the extended comment, moved, saved, traffic, trouble, and improved. Moved inside, got buried in traffic, and that was heading into the turn. Kind of moved up along the rail and then was behind horses that were on the lead and to the inside of horses, kind of stalking the pace. He made contact between horses, bouncing around, trying to get some room out of the turn, lost some steam and momentum, bumping into rivals. Continued to gallop out past the wire, still had more in the tank, and capable to bounce back with a better effort. This is a horse that I would definitely consider playing back. I don't think, even though this horse was the favorite and finished 6th, I don't think that they necessarily made a mistake betting this horse. I don't know how to say that any other way. I think that's sometimes important when you review these races is to, just kind of see, would you bet that horse back? And I think this horse has a lot of upside. I would expect if this horse runs back in 30 days, they would probably point more towards the Holy Bull. and I don't see a reason why this horse is not going to handle 2 turns. He's kind of a big horse, raced inside, raced in traffic. My one concern would be whether he's got that kind of start and stop, but kind of yet to see. He was inside. I think maybe an outside stalking trip, like for most horses, is a little bit more favorable. There's upside on this horse. It's definitely a trip where going back and watching again on the Gulfstream Park channel. All the replays are available. It's worth a watch, and this is a horse that has some upside as a 3-year-old horse going into these Kentucky Derby preps. Another horse that had trouble, and I think this was kind of a more obvious trouble, and I saw some chatter on Twitter like, oh, had trouble, very obvious trouble, was given a B grade, traffic trouble, closed, gallop, other. I think the other's just a physicality. So boxed in, had to wait, steadied, and then moved to the far outside and lost a lot of ground and closed strong through the stretch. So another good effort. Of the 2 horses, again, can't knock this one. Ran a good race. I think that the 6, sorry if I forget their names, has a little bit more upside and is a little bit more interesting as the distances get longer. Let's go back and look at all these. So again, all this information is in Optics EQ, even though I work for Optics and take the notes. If you are a monthly subscriber, you can go back and look at all this after the race. And it's a very helpful tool. It's a very important tool for handicapping to look over the races. I think it's important to do, we did the before video a little bit. I didn't really handicap the whole race, but, looked at a few things to do a before and after. And overall, I think that will help the handicapping process. All right, I'm hoping to upload some more videos this afternoon. I have an Oaklawn race in mind to handicap, kind of waiting for morning line. So look for that. Again, subscribe to the channel, support Optics EQ, and thanks again.